Premier Mark Brantley has expressed concern that Nevisians are not sufficiently informed about the recently passed Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Act 2025. Speaking at his monthly press conference recently, Mr. Brantley was asked by SKN Newsline whether he believes the public is adequately aware of the law given the ongoing debate and opposition from the Nevis Reformation Party, the NRP.
I think my answer would be no. Because if I were to say yes, then I would have to accuse a lot of people of deliberately misleading the public. So I would have to say no. And the reason I would say no is because I go back to the anecdote from the other night when a pundit said very boldly that these people are going to create their own country. And when I asked where that came from, he said it came from the law. And as I indicated, as of now, 11:30 on Thursday, he's still trying to find that section. It tells me that he did not really know what the law said. There are a lot of people in our country, and with the proliferation of radio and internet and Facebook and all of that, I find that many of us essay opinions before we inform ourselves. I have had a statement that I made from time to time, and I say we must engage our minds before we engage our mouth. Engage our mind before we engage our fingers. Because oftentimes when we do it the opposite way, what we're responding to, Mr. Hugh, is what somebody else tells us. A lot of the confusion in St. Kitts and Nevis comes because we listen to somebody say something. So let us, for example, assume that I was not on the line on Tuesday night. That gentleman would have said, these people are coming to create their own country. That's what the law says. Nobody would have challenged it. But the following morning, people would have been in town saying, why you're here? That is what the law said. And that is how misinformation takes hold.
He disclosed that the Nevis Island Administration, the NIA, will host a series of town hall meetings to educate residents about the legislation.
The people in St. Kitts and Nevis continue to say to me that they're busy. They're busy. So the parliament that sat on August 11th was an open forum. You could come in there and sit down, or you could listen on radio, you could watch on television. Most of our people do not listen. They do not pay attention. And what they therefore do is they then rely on the talk show hosts and people like those to tell them what was said. And that's where the misinformation comes in. What we're going to do, Mr. Huey, I've been forced to accept that our people just do not understand it well enough. And so we plan to have a series of town hall meetings. And every engagement that I get, I will be speaking about what the law says, what it actually provides, and what it is that's proposed.
The act has drawn heightened scrutiny following the announcement of a proposed development in southern Nevis on privately owned lands. The NRP has strongly objected to the law, calling for it to be repealed, arguing that it does not adequately safeguard the patrimony of Nevisians. Patricia Bartlett of the NRP reiterated this position during a recent appearance on Vision 2020 radio.
He says, no area intended to be the subject of a development agreement shall, in the island of Nevis, comprise less than 500 acres, and in St. Kitts, not less than 750 acres. Now, this is what, at the end of the day, when the gavel came down, this is what it said that they would have passed this into law. This is an act now. It's no longer a bill. And we know, based on the contribution that the Premier would have made in the House of Parliament in St. Kitts on that day, the 11th of August, I think it was, 2025, he would have gotten up and made the appeal to his brethren and the other people seated there for their support in making an amendment, because this, as it turned out, apparently was not in the bill. And so he proposed an amendment to insert this same section here. And so for him now to go on radio and attempt to distance himself from it and say, well, no, that is not in the bill, in like someone is going to have to give us an explanation as to why is it these people in Parliament would have voted to insert this thing because, they have their little session that they sit out and they say, well, we in what you call committee stage, right? And so coming out of committee stage, this is what would have been the work product of that. And so until we hear otherwise from the people who are responsible for us, the law states that in Nevis, they cannot give them, can't sign off on an SSZ unless it has a minimum 500 acres. So we need clarity on that. But still, we're still asking for this law to be repealed because that is going to be my recitation.
Meanwhile, the federal government has pushed back against claims that the Prime Minister can unilaterally authorize projects in Nevis under the Act. In a press release issued by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, SKNIS, the government clarified that the law requires any development project on Nevis to receive the explicit approval of the Premier and the NIA before proceeding. It stressed that no development will move forward on Nevis without such consent. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.